In this one, we're going to break down the lo-fi keys from Travis Scott's My Eyes. So the track My Eyes samples a track by the Japanese house called Over There. In that track, it's more of an electric keys piano type of sound. In the Travis Scott's version, it sounds more like a synthy layered with that electric piano. So we're gonna go ahead and design that sound from scratch using Logic's Alchemy. The first thing we're gonna do here is initialize the setting in Alchemy so we get a clean slate. All we get is a sawtooth oscillator. Except we're going to change that first oscillator to a sine wave to give it more of that electric keys type of sound. So we're going to go over to our sources in source A. We're going to go over to load VA. We're going to go to sine and we're going to bring in the sine vocal 2 wavetable. Now let's just adjust the amp envelope to make sure we got the shape down right. I'm just going to pull up the hold a little bit here. Next, let's modulate the cutoff. So every time the velocity hits a little harder, the cutoff or the filter is going to open up a little bit. So on these notes right here where they get really hard, the velocity is harder, so it's going to open up that filter. So let's open up Alchemy, and we're going to click our filter master over here, our master filter. We're going to go over here. We're going to select note property, and we're going to go to velocity. We're going to set our depth to about, let's say like a 65%ish, 3 o'clock. And then up here on our cutoff, so normally it would be nice and dark if you just leave it like that. When we pull down the cutoff. But I'm going to set the range of what it's going to be at when the velocity hits harder. So the harder the velocity, the more open the filter will be. Next, let's go over to source B, and we're going to bring in another oscillator. We're going to go over to load VA. We're going to go over to, let's go to a sine, and we're going to bring in the triangle ARP, and it sounds like this. So I'm just going to solo that out for now. And then we're going to select source B right here. And I'm just going to apply its own filter. And we're going to pull up the drive quite a bit. The other sound. Now let's bring in another oscillator. We're going to go back to our global tab. We're going to open up C right here, and we're going to go to load VA, and we're going to go to a basic shape, the square shape. Let's open up source C. And once again, we're going to go ahead and put on its own filter. I'm going to pull it back and pull up the drive once again. I want a lot of those mids to come through, so that low mid. So let me just solo that out so we could really hear that here. See, it gives it more meat at the bottom end. Maybe we could add a little bit of detuning to it. And last but not least, let's make this sound a little bit softer. We're going to go over to our effects tab, and we're going to bring in a chorus. We'll go to modulation, and we'll go to modulator effects. And we'll just pull down the mix. So that's the sound design right there. Now let's start to add in some effects to really get that gritty analog sound. So to start off, we're gonna bring in Logic's tape delay. We'll go to delay, tape delay. And this is just gonna add in that sort of lo-fi pitch modulation to the sound. And it's really easy to do from scratch. So what we're gonna do here is on our delay, we're gonna bring down the delay time to 0. We're gonna bring the feedback down to 0. Turn it up 100%, dry 0%, so it's 100% the effect. And then we're gonna pull up our lo-fi rate to 1 hertz, or sorry, lo-fi, LFO rate, our low frequency oscillator rate to 1 hertz. And I'm gonna bring up the intensity. So watch what happens when I bring up this knob. We're just gonna bring it back just so it's a more modest level. Right, it gives you that dreamy lo-fi sound. And then we're gonna add in a little bit of flutter here. We're gonna pull it up to 3 hertz. And watch what happens when I pull this up. I'm gonna pull up to max so you hear what it's doing. So, but we're gonna pull that back to, once again, a modest level. Let's do a little bit at 20%. Then we're gonna go ahead and bring in another chorus just to soften it up a little bit more. We'll go to modulation chorus, and I'm gonna use the default setting that loads up. So I'm gonna pull down the mix a bit. Next, we're gonna bring in EQ to shape our sound a little bit further. And then I'm going to tone down the brightness a little bit by bringing a shell filter here. Next, we got to bring in that wall of noise that we hear in the original track or sound. So for that, we're going to bring in Logic's Bit Crusher. We'll go to Distortion Bit Crusher. And this is just going to bring in that sort of vinyl lo-fi goodness here. So I'm going to pull the drive down. I don't want it too gritty. I'm going to pull up the downsampling once to 2 times. I'm just going to pull it back a little bit. Now let's bring in that reverb. We're going to bring in Logic's Space Designer. We'll go to Reverb Space Designer. And I'm going to bring in a preset here. We'll go over to a large space. We'll go over to plate reverbs, and we'll go over to big plate. And then I'm going to bring in one more EQ just to tone a little bit of the top end. To give more of a slightly more muffled sound. And that's pretty much the sound right there. Now we're just going to add in the drums that we hear happening in the background from the original sample. So for that, I'm going to go head on over to the Utopia Deconstructed Drum Kit. If you're interested in the drum sounds from Utopia, I'll place a link down below. So let's go over to Utopia, the Deconstructed Kit. We're going to go over to the track My Eyes. And let's start off with the snare. There it is right there. Let's bring that into Drum Machine Designer. And let's just draw in that snare. Next, let's bring in the hi-hat. And it's just a simple pattern, except the velocity is going to sort of wane down as it plays out. And then we're going to bring in the kick. Let's bring that in right here. And then we'll add in a reverb on these drums just to give it some space. We'll go over to Logic's Chroma Verb this time. We'll go to Reverb, Chroma Verb. We use the default setting that loads up here. first going to add in a little bit of automation here as well. I'm going to hit A on my keyboard. I'm going to go to the automation here, volume, and I'm just going to draw this up here. And I'll just do like a build up here. So it's going to go something like, maybe something like that. That right there is how you make those lo-fi keys from Travis Scott's My Eyes. If you have any questions on this, we'll go ahead and chat in the comment section below this video. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Later. Peace.